Good evening. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back to the Man Cave. Uh, Brother Jeff in Orlando, how are you doing down there this evening?
Sweating.
Sweating. It's been nice weather here. It's been a little cooler this week. The latter half of this week, we're getting a little cool front coming through, but I think winter skipped us here in Western North Carolina this year. So I'm ready.
91.
I'm ready. No, I haven't seen 90 degrees here yet. I don't know if we haven't seen 90. I saw 83, I think, one day in February, or was
I'll
it?
take it.
Yeah. Let's have a drink. What are you having tonight?
I'm having some Jack number 7.
I'm going to probably finish off this bottle, this Southern Star Paragon. This is that wheated bourbon that's distilled fairly locally to me, and this is a single barrel cask strength that's really good. I'm really a fan of this stuff. So I'm going to, I'm going to empty
Well,
the bottle, but
take your hat off, John.
huh?
Take your hat off, John.
Take my hat off.
Yeah.
Midwest a dead soldier.
Thank you.
That's a little heavier pour than I would normally have, but it keeps me from having less than a pour in the bottom of the bottle. The good news is I've got another one ready to go. I keep that's one of the ones that's going to be a staple here. I'm always going to have that on the shelf. So cheers, everybody. I'm a little
Cheers.
heavy tonight. I'm 3.5 ounces there or better. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. Let me tab back over to the chat window here and see who's with us. Hank's here, Brian, Ryan, Eric, Anthony, Peter, Fran, and Russ. Excellent. And guys, Tanya's not here tonight, so I don't have anybody driving the comments. So maybe Jeff will pop some of them up there when
I'll
we
pop
need
them up.
to. Yeah. I've had a great week here this week. I don't know why this week's been better than average, but I've had 3 good cooking days this week. I didn't slouch off on the cooking. I had a project Tuesday, Wednesday, and today that has made it a fun week. Yes, Darren, I have. I tried those and I wrote a post. Guys, if you haven't checked the Man Cave Meals Facebook page lately, check it out. Darren sent me some new stuff from his Fire and Water Cooking black garlic line. There's a black garlic powder and a couple other things. There's a black garlic salt and there's the butter, the black garlic butter. I can't remember the exact name. Darren, what's
Butter herbs.
the butter and herb? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's good.
it's the butter powder that's got black garlic and the herbs in it. It is crazy. It's amazing. And then the new sauce, the stallion sauce that he's got coming out sometime soon. But I posted about that on the Man Cave Meals Facebook page. You guys can have a look at that because Darren's black garlic stuff is really it's unique in this world of rubs and
Definitely.
blends. Uh, I've had lots and lots of rubs, and Jeff, I know you have too. But it's not often that something comes along that I think is really unique and really stands out and is set apart from the rest of what's out there. But this stuff is because it's the black garlic. That black garlic brings a flavor that doesn't come from anything else.
No.
It's its own unique flavor profile, and Darren has done an amazing job with that. And what we'll do sometime, Darren, I'll get you to come back on here with me, and we'll have another discussion about these things. I'm going to play with that butter, that compound butter, the black garlic and herb compound butter, because there's a lot that in fact that gummit. I should have done it tonight because I made some baked potatoes
That
to
would have been
serve
good.
some chili. Yeah, and I didn't even think to put that on there. I should have shook some of that on those baked potatoes because that would have been crazy. And but guys, check that out. Darren's stuff is really really unique. And I posted, like I said, I posted about the new stuff on the Man Cave Meals page earlier this week. So definitely check that out. Uh, Black Russ is asking, did I hit that with you?
Yeah.
Robert, you could actually use this black garlic salt either way, I believe. It depends. As a finishing salt, I would probably say more so of a finishing salt. I guess it depends on what you're doing, is whether or not the black garlic would show through in a cook with that. I guess it would have to depend, but it's definitely a good finishing salt. It's a table salt. It's something that I would shake on something at the dinner table, maybe, that if it needed salt, or I would salt vegetables with it at the table. But yeah, I think you could probably go either way on that. So it's a really, really amazing stuff. I've been looking forward to Thursday. It's bourbon night. So, but yeah, I've had fun. I've been putting the Camp Chef Woodwind Pro 24 through its paces this week, and last week. Anytime I get a new grill, especially one that I'm as excited about as this one, I'm in a hurry to get through all the stuff that I like to do. And Jeff and I have we've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years doing stuff on pellet grills with the Myron Mixon bark. And I'm trying to see, what I can do with this grill to match what we've done with that one. This is one of the first grills I've come across that I feel excited about changing my cooking method to take advantage of some of the features that this grill has to offer. And Jeff and I have been talking about it some. We like to do those pork butts and briskets overnight at 200 degrees for 12 hours, and then ramp the temp up, wrap it and finish it off, or wrap it when the bark's ready and then finish it off at a higher temp. I'm looking at changing that. I'm going to develop a new method for butts and brisket where I can do the majority of the cook during the day rather than at night, so I can take advantage of that smoker box. That thing's got to be fed just like you'd feed a stick burner. If you've got it going, it's gonna need feeding periodically. So what I'm looking at doing with that is running I'm probably going to run like a 275 degree cook and get it pretty much done. Take the internal temperature of the meat up to close to 200 degrees, and then finish it in one of my warming ovens. I'm looking at my options there. My oven down here in the man cave, when I set it at 170, it's actually running about 185. I put the fireboard in there to see where it was landing, and it didn't suit me. Tanya's got an oven upstairs, her double oven. When I set it at 150 on the warming mode on that oven, it averages about 165, which I think would be a perfect spot to take that butt or brisket that I've pulled off the grill, wrap it, and throw it in there for 12 to 18 more hours to let the tenderization finish. We're going to try it. I've got the Anova precision oven down here, which I can run at any temperature, but I'm trying to come up with a method where it's something everybody can do, because I would feel guilty asking somebody to put $600 or $700 into an oven, into a warming oven. I'm hoping that most people have more modern ovens than what I've got down here in the man cave, and you've got a warming feature that'll let you run it. I think 170 would probably be fine. Anywhere between 155, 160, and 170. Damon, glad you could make it in here with us tonight. uh, 3 or 4 hours with a smoke box. So yeah, I'm with you there, guys. Damon is a new friend I've connected with in the Camp Chef Grill Owners group on Facebook. Damon is a what's the term here? He's a brand ambassador for Camp Chef, and his affiliation and role with Camp Chef is a lot like where I was with Kamado Joe when I was doing the Kamado Joe thing. I don't think Damon makes video content, but Damon is he's a resource. He's Jeff. He's a lot like Stephen Hickey. He's in the Camp Chef group. He's answering questions when people post, because he's answered some of mine. He's come back with perfect answers to some of the questions that I've posted and some of the issues that I've brought forth. When I have a question, Damon, when his answer comes back, that's the one that you can bank on is being being the right answer. So yeah, Robert, I've done 2 cooks now where I've ended up with more smoke than I was happy with. So that's a good sign. That's not normally a problem with pellet grill. But the first cook I did, the beef ribs, I commented at the end of that video that I had a little bit more smoke on it than I wanted. You're going to see another cook that I'm going to show you here in just a little bit that I did this week where I got more smoke than I wanted also. But I'm hoping to have Damon on with us at some point here in the future. I'd like to have him here to talk about Camp Chef. I'm learning about Camp Chef. I don't have a lot of Camp Chef gear, but this is my second piece, this pellet grill. I have that 3-burner Expedition 3X propane stove that's my outdoor stove cooking station. But I'm wondering if I've obsoleted that since I bought the Sidekick, because during the whole time I've had that 3-burner Expedition, I've never had more than 1 burner going at a time on it. And I've got the Sidekick here that's got that burner, which we're going to look at again today. So yeah, that thing, Robert, yeah, if you decide to pick one of those up, let me know. I'd love to know what you think about it. But everybody seems to say, pellet grills don't produce enough smoke, and I think Camp Chef has addressed that issue. And what also, Jeff, you and I have talked about this before also. I don't think pellet grills don't produce enough smoke. The people that say that pellet grills don't produce enough smoke are the people that have had some other kind of smoker before they got their pellet grill, because it doesn't produce as heavy a smoke as some other systems do. But the people that I know that have never owned anything but a pellet grill love their pellet grills. They love everything about them. So yep. I guess it's kind of how you've been raised in the smoker worlds, to whether it's too much or too little smoke. And this, as most of you know, this Camp Chef is number 7 for me on pellet grills. It's the 7th pellet grill to show up here at the man cave. I currently have 3 pellet grills out there, if we count the Kamado Joe, which I'm still having a hard time. I don't like to count the Kamado Joe Pellet Joe in this lineup because it's not the same system. But I learned something very quickly when I got our first pellet grill. Tanya and I bought, not just shortly after I got involved with Kamado Joe. In fact, we bought it on a trip that Tanya and I made to Atlanta to meet some of the Kamado Joe people. We bought a Traeger. We stopped at a shopping mall in the northern part of Atlanta on the way home, and there was a Traeger, kind of like a Traeger roadshow going on there. And I bought a Traeger. I bought their it's called the Little Texas Elite. It was one of their lower end pellet grills. And the very first thing I cooked on that was a Thanksgiving turkey. And I was so impressed with it, with how well it did with turkey. I said, this is something that we're going to keep around here. So anyway, let's get moving here. We got to talk about, let's see, Jeff's, well, here we go again.
Log in, John.
Same story every week. This thing, between the time I start the live stream and get ready to show my pictures, I get logged out of Google. It just does that to me every week. So let me reconnect to Google here, and we will have a look at some pictures. So Jeff's done a little cooking this week. So Jeff, you got some spatchcock chickens going here?
Yeah, I got some spatchcock chickens going on the bark.
On the bark 20.
Yeah, bark 2400. I got the right one seasoned with Ryan Lane's Spellbound, and the left one is seasoned with. What did I season that one with? Well, dang. Something
red.
Something red.
What was your cooking method? What temperature were you cooking at here?
I always cook my chicken 375 and up. I like to get the skin on it. In that one video that I posted a while ago, people complain, they can't get crispy skin on their chicken coming off of a pellet grill. So I sat there and I squeezed my skin and it went crunch, 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 crunch. You can get crispy skin. You just gotta cook your chicken up, upwards of 375, and you'll get it.
Do you have a jacquard?
What?
A jacquard?
No.
A lot of people will hit that chicken skin with a jacquard, and that's something I want to try. I've never done it, but it makes sense. That's something Harry Sue does, and it's something that he wasn't doing that when I went to his cooking school, but he's doing it now, and I think it might be helpful in rendering fat from chicken skin and helping it crisp up. So that's something we need to try. So I guess this is later on in the cook.
Yep.
Yeah, it's looking good. Well, I guess this is the finished product.
Yeah, we missed a slide in there somewhere. I put two sauces on. The one on the left, I put the G. Hughes hickory, and the one on the right, I put the Atlanta Grill sweet. Because we wanted some barbecue chicken for a change rather than just rub chicken.
Those look good.
It came out great.
What temperature do you pull those chickens at?
I pull my chickens when the breast hits right around 157.
Yeah.
Try always to get it off before 160 because it's gonna overshoot on the rest.
Do you measure your carryover?
I have. It's varied anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees.
Yeah.
Not sure why the 5-degree difference.
I see some shrimp going here.
Yeah, but he got some shrimp and grits going on on the classic.
Is that the Kamado Joe Iron Wok?
No, that's the lodge one.
I noticed that Kamado Joe's put out a carbon steel wok. I saw that this week. That's what they should have done to begin with, I believe. But I'm going to have a look at that because I want to see how good a quality it is. I've got a really nice carbon steel wok here, but you know how I am. If there's a Kamado Joe product out there that I like, I'm going to want it, and I might like that thing. So, shrimp and cauliflower grits.
Yeah, buddy.
Cauliflower mash.
Yeah, only way to go.
What did you season? What's in the butter?
The River Street from AGC.
Mm-hmm.
That's my go-to for seafood.
Is it got any garlic in there with it?
Yep.
I can smell it. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, but it was good. It was good.
And we must have done another brisket this week.
Yeah, we did a brisket. I tried something a little bit different. We did that brisket at 200 degrees overnight.
Right.
And then ramped the temperature up. And I used Run-A-Muck maple pecan syrup as a binder.
Right.
That came out nice. And then I used Lane's brisket rub on it. And this was another one of those right at 10 pounders from Kroger. With the only thing I'll say about the 10 pounder, it's very little trimming done on it. And it's another one of these that for some unknown reason, the point was almost as big as the flat.
Yeah.
Which doesn't normally happen. But it extended down more into the flat than normal.
Is this
maybe
one of those $2.99 a pound briskets?
Yep.
Man, I wish I could get those. We don't have a Kroger anywhere near here anymore. I don't even know if there's one in the state of North Carolina.
John, I don't have a Kroger by me either, but I have Kroger delivery, so I had them delivered to.
Well, that's even better. Looks like a pretty good cook. Did it come out well?
I'm not going to say it was my best brisket.
Yeah.
It was actually better the second day. I mean, if you take a look there, John, the part on the right is the point. The part on the left, that cut is flat, and you can see where that point is quite a bit bigger. And like I said, it extended more across the brisket itself.
This fat blade right here is actually the fat piece that separates the two.
Yep.
So, yep.
And you can see it rendered out just about completely. It never did get to 202, 203. I ended up pulling it because it was nice and jiggly at, I think, about 197. And I think that's because, like I said,
served it.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
Oh, what are we looking at? Oh, we're looking at it served over the cauliflower mash and the roasted Brussels.
Okay. Well, heck, that looks pretty good, Jeff.
It's one of our favorite meals. And then the leftover, I throw it in the freezer, and that's my cottage pie material.
Yeah, you've been busy this week.
Plus, the granddaughter was over yesterday, so we had the.
Oh, I saw the lamb pictures. Why didn't you give me that to look at? Because that was that was the best looking cook you've done this week. I saw those, but you didn't give me that picture today.
No.
You cooked 2 racks of lamb.
Yeah,
you had a plate with 2 racks of lamb on it.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, man. Heck yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll put my rack of lamb up against anybody's rack of lamb.
Well, now that you've mentioned that, I'm going to need to do that. That's something else I'll try over here on the Woodwind, because I can cook that guy whole, and then I can slice it down and sear it off on the sidekick. So I started my week off with a tomahawk. This is one of those Sam's Club. They call it a cowboy steak at Sam's Club, but they had some particularly large ones when I was out there Monday evening, and this one weighed 3.8 pounds. So it's a big steak. And
you didn't eat it by yourself, did you, John?
Well, technically I did, but I didn't eat the whole thing. I'm going to get 4 meals out of this. I ate a couple of pieces of it right after I cooked it, but I portioned it out and vacuum sealed it, and I've got it in the refrigerator, and it's going to be done as leftovers. But this guy, I use a little wash your sister sauce as the binder, and just use my salt, pepper, garlic blend. This is my Man Cave Magic #1, which is 1 part granulated garlic, 1 part ground black pepper, and 2 parts salt, 2 parts kosher salt. So I season this. And Jeff, I didn't get to do this one overnight. I didn't do it overnight on this one, but I was able to get about 6 hours. So I put this back in the refrigerator just on this rack like you see here, and let it ride for about 6 hours.
Well, I want to stop you there and make a comment. People who season their meat right before they put it on, they're really missing out.
Well,
in my opinion,
man, everybody, that's a point of contention. A lot of people want to argue that.
They can argue all they want.
There's a lot of people that won't season it until after they cook it. I've seen a lot of steak cooks cook their steak and then salt and pepper when they plate it. But that's fine if that's what you like, but I definitely like letting the salt get deeper into the meat, and this is the only way to do it. And it's my preference. And a steak this big, I would definitely not hesitate to season that 24 hours ahead of the cook.
No, absolutely not.
12 hours, 24 hours, no problem. That's what I like to do. So anyway, I think this picture might be out of order. This is the smoker box, and I had some cherry chunks that I decided to use on this cook, but I got this is what the steak looked like right before I was ready to put it on the grill. All of the salt that was on there had liquefied and started working its way back in. So I stuck it on the grill and put the temperature probe in it. And I was running at 250 on the Camp Chef. And I was running my smoker box with the fire plate valve wide open. I'm not particularly interested in smoldering those chunks. I just assume they be ignited and burning with a visible flame, and that's what I was doing here, or trying to do here. I don't know how much of that I actually got at 250, but at higher temperatures it will definitely burn those. But I was getting great smoke, and I wanted to take this up to about 110 internally during this phase of the cook, and that took about 90 minutes. This is about 40 minutes in, maybe. You can see that it's picking up great color from the smoke, and I got a little video clip here. I'm not sure what I don't remember. Yeah, this is having a look at maybe about the hour mark. Or no, this is close to the end, because I've got a saucepan on there where I'm melting some butter that I'm going to do something with here. I'll show you. This is right before this was when I hit 110. I had that kind of color on this guy. So I pulled it off and wrapped it up in foil and let it sit for, I don't know, 10 or 12 minutes, maybe even 15. And I fired up the sidekick burner with the sear box. And while it was getting hot, I was just letting this guy rest. But I didn't make a picture. I've made video of this cook. This cook's video will come. I'll put it online tomorrow, so be watching for that. But I drizzled some of that melted butter on this steak before I wrapped it up in foil, and then I had the sear box going nice and hot, because I only wanted to give about 60 seconds worth of sear on each side of this guy, and I flipped it about. That's just another picture of the same thing going on there. Here's what it looks like after I flipped it. I didn't want to over sear it. One of the things, guys, about reverse searing, the sear happens quickly. It doesn't take as long to get the sear and caramelization when that meat's already partially cooked. So I don't like to overchar mine. So this is about what I like. So that's where I decided to go with this one. And this is what it looks like off the grill when I was done. And I let it rest for another 10 or 12 minutes. And this guy coasted up to about an internal temperature of about 130. And this as far as it went, and which was good for me, because I'm medium rare to medium. I'm happy with anywhere a finishing temperature anywhere between 130 and 160. Yeah, well, that's just me. I'm not gonna nitpick over 5 degrees one way or the other on one of these steaks. Yes, it is, Barbecue Bandit. Jeff, you wanna kick that one too?
Absolutely. I think that's far better than Worcestershire sauce, and
it's worth $10 a bottle. I've never paid more than $10 a bottle for
yeah,
it.
you can get it at Academy Sports for $8.95. Some of the Walmarts, as Brian was saying, his local Walmart is selling it now for $8.75 a bottle.
Well, I need to check. If I can buy that locally, I'll start buying it again.
Well, Academy Sports now stocks it, because I just picked up 2 bottles over there at Academy Sports.
Okay, I'll check next time I'm at Academy.
I love using it in my cottage pie. I use about 1/3 of a cup of that to 2/3 of a cup of the G. Hughes steak sauce. Mix those two together, and that's what I make my sauce out of for the cottage pie.
Yeah, but this guy, I was ready to cut it open, and here's what we have. It's just this one. I don't know how well you can see it in this picture right here, but down here on this one end piece, there was a really big vein of fat in this guy, and you can see part of it right here on this one slice out near the end. Let's see if my next picture shows it any better. Well, not really, because it's over here on an edge piece, but this was delicious. This cook came out perfectly. I was very happy with the results, and this was the first time I've used the sidekick accessory on the Camp Chef in a cook, and it's like having a little small gas grill right there ready to go. In my opinion, that that accessory is one of the two reasons I went with the Camp Chef over everything else I was looking at. The smoker box was reason number one, and the ability to have the sidekick and its accessories was reason number two. And I don't think that either one of those reasons weighs any higher with me. They were both pretty equivalent. Um, as I showed you the other week when we went through the walkthrough and I showed you all the pictures, that's a stovetop over there on the side of the grill with a 28K BTU burner on it. And I have the griddle, I have the flat top griddle accessory, and I have the sear box. I don't have the pizza accessory. It's something I'd like to have, but I'm not sure when I'm going to get that, but it might happen at some point. But that accessory solves the problem of being able to sear on a pellet grill. It really does. There's a lot of pellet grills out there with a lot of gadgetry that allow you to do what I call pseudo searing. And Camp Chef has had some stuff in the past that would do this, but my experience with those previous methods I didn't like. When I had the Yoder YS640 here, it had a similar setup where you could open up and sear over the fire from the firebox, but it makes a mess in the bottom of the grill that I didn't like dealing with. And I did that exactly one time on that Yoder and said I'll never do that again, because during the time I was cooking steaks, I actually had enough drippings in the bottom of that grill that I had a grease fire going in the bottom of the smoker while I was cooking on it, and I just didn't like that. It just wasn't my setup. Yeah, Anthony, let us know how that goes. Be sure and post us some pictures. But this smoker box has a cast iron grate in it, and it's perfect. It's not got a huge amount of space, but if you're doing reverse sears, if I was serving 4 of these tomahawk steaks, it wouldn't have been a problem. But since I'm only searing 60 seconds a side, I could rip 4 of them off of there and be done in 8 minutes and be able to serve them all. But I've been really happy with that result. How's that look, Jeff?
Looks edible to me, buddy. Put it on my plate any day of the week.
Have you played with the prototype heat shield for the bark?
Yeah.
Have you done some searing with it?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I posted some pictures of making pizza on it using the Masterbuilt pizza insert.
Right.
But you're right about that. It's not going to take a whole bunch to have a grease fire on that thing.
Right. Project number 2 this week, yesterday, I did a double project. I've got this Jackery power station, and it's the smallest one they make. It's the Jackery 240, which is a 240 watt output capability. It can put out that continuous, but it can peak it up close to 300. But I bought this thing a long time ago. Well, it's not a long time ago. It's maybe 4 years ago. It was on sale. And I bought the 60 watt solar panel to go with it. And I was going to play around with powering stuff out on my deck with solar power. And I was discouraged when I got this, because at the time I had the Traeger Timberline 850, and the Traeger Timberline 850 draws a little bit too much power during startup for me to be able to run it with this. So this week I decided to try the Camp Chef with it, and I was tickled to death to find out that the Camp Chef only draws 200 to 225 watts when it's starting up. So this thing will run it without any trouble. So yesterday I did a chicken cook, and I see, let's look a little closer here. Let me back up one. This next one I got where you can see the screen here. The input showing here is 50 watts. It's getting 50 watts currently from that 60 watt solar panel, and it's outputting 200 watts. And this is during the startup phase where the igniter rod is heating. in the pellet grill. That's the igniter rod heating process is the most power intensive operation on a pellet grill. Nothing else draws that kind of power. And this only lasts for 6 minutes during the startup. So here's another picture of after the startup finished. I was actually getting more input from the solar panel than I was getting output to the grill. That output after the startup, it kind of floats around between 30 and 45, 46 watts. It bounces around depending on if the auger's running or not. So if you got sunshine, you can run this thing indefinitely on this battery. And I wish, I'm looking back, this is one of those situations where I wish I had got the bigger battery, because this particular power supply running without solar power being active will only run that grill for somewhere between 7 and 8 hours. So it wouldn't run it on an overnight cook without losing its charge. However, one of the things people tend to worry about with pellet grills is, what do you do if you have a power failure in the middle of the night while you've got a cook going on your pellet grill? Well, the pellet grill is going to die because it's going to lose power and it's going to quit doing its thing. And this can behave like an uninterruptible power supply. I can plug the battery into the AC outlet where it's charging off the wall power, and then I can run the grill from the battery, where during that process the battery's not going to lose any of its charge unless the power goes out. And when the power goes out, the pellet grill will continue running, and it will give me more than gracious plenty time to figure out what I'm going to do about whatever's on the grill. That would give me more than enough time to come out, fire up a Kamado, fire up one of the charcoal systems, and move whatever's on there to another grill and keep it cooking. So it's got a lot of cool possibilities. But once again, I wish I had the 500 watt model of this thing, because that would give me enough time to run on battery power all night long without having to worry about the battery not lasting. But anyway, that's just some food for thought if you ever thought about solar power for a pellet grill. Yesterday's cook was a chicken, and I bought one of the cheap grocery store variety whole chickens, and this was a fairly large one. It was 7.5 pounds, and I typically don't like to buy chickens that big, but all of them were that big. So I towel dried it, and I wiped it down with just a thin smear of olive oil, and I seasoned it also with the Man Cave Magic #1 salt, pepper, garlic blend. That's all I put on there. And I used the turbo trusser. You guys know I like that to truss these things and hold it together. And I ran I didn't take a picture of it, but I ran the Camp Chef at 425 for this cook. I ran it nice and hot, and I used some hickory chunks for this cook, and I only gave it hickory chunks twice. I gave it 2 more about like that during this cook. I set it on there. I put my thermometer in, and the other part of testing I was doing here is I wanted to figure out how much carryover cooking I was going to get cooking at 425, because I normally cook between 400 and 450 when I'm cooking whole chickens, because I like how the skin turns out, and you'll get to see that here in a minute. But I'm trying to figure out where I need to pull my chicken off, because I don't like for my chickens to go past about 155. I like for mine to finish at 155. So what I did here was I said, I'm going to pull it at 145 and see where it lands. And anyway, before we get that far, this is before the cook was completed. You can see that this guy's browning up nicely, and that skin's doing really well there. And here we are, close to being finished. And my wingtips are a little crispy, but there's no meat to eat there anyway. But the skin on this guy, it's kind of hard to tell from the picture, but the skin on this guy's in beautiful shape. So, I think I've got a little video here maybe I don't know if this one shows the smoke rolling or not. It shows a little bit. So this was right before I was going to pull it off and rest it. The internal temperature was 146 in the deep part of the breast when I stopped this cook. So from that point, I took it off and set it aside, and I just tinted it in foil. And I left my fireboard probe in there because I wanted to see where it was going to finish. And it went up 16 or 17 degrees. I think I finished at up near 160 or 161, maybe even 162 if I remember. I'd have to go back and look, but it went further than I wanted it to. But I always like to. I never want mine to go over 165, and I really like to have them stop at 155, and that gives me the most tender and juiciest chicken. It's crazy. And here's a little bit closer up look. You can kind of see my skin texture there a little bit. So this was right before I was going to break it down. So I pulled the turbo trusser off, and it's not the prettiest breakdown in the world, but I took the leg quarters off and took the breasts off and took the wings off. The wings were so well done that they broke at the elbow joint. I didn't get the whole wing off in one piece on either side of that chicken. And this breast was gorgeous. It was very. You can see on my cutting board here, how much juice I got running from that thing. It's not cooked dry at all, but this chicken was delicious. But I had too much smoke on it. I had more smoke than I like on my chicken. Jeff, you know how I keep going, less is more when it comes to smoke. Yeah. Al, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm loving this Camp Chef. It's crazy. I think Al has one of these. Al does have one of these, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Al, don't you have you got the 36, don't you? Anthony, hickory is stronger than most for sure, and you have to use it sparingly. And I thought I was using it sparingly, but I wasn't using it sparingly enough. I was using 100% hickory pellets in the grill also. So yeah, in reality, guys, I don't think you need any wood addition of any kind cooking poultry. I'm very happy with the results I normally get without any help. Just the pellet smoke, even when you're cooking hot, is enough for poultry, and that's where I landed. My chicken was just a little smokier than I like it. Today, I decided to do some wings because Jeff and I, last year, we spent a lot of time testing wing methods on pellet grills. And what did we discover, Jeff?
Higher is better.
Hotter is better in most cases. So these wings were ugly. These, once again, are grocery store variety wings, but I like to buy the whole wings and break them down myself. I cut the wing tips off and then separate the drumettes from the flats. And I save those wing tips because they're perfect to throw on a roasting pan to roast when you're going to make stock. I like to cut them in half where the bone's exposed, the inside of the bone's exposed, and then I like to roast them and then use them in stock along with a carcass, a neck or two, or whatever I've got. So I put those in the freezer. And then what's the next step? What do we do next, Jeff?
Season them up, buddy. Dry them. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. No, we dry them off and we throw them in the refrigerator, air dry.
Towel dried these guys as dry as I could get them with paper towels. And I didn't give them a lot of time in the refrigerator. These guys got about 2 hours in the fridge, which is 12 hours would have been better, but 2 hours was all I was willing to do today. So I took them back out, smear them very thinly. I put like 2 or 3 drops of olive oil on each one of those, and then work them around my hands to get a thin smear of olive oil on these guys. And once again today, I seasoned with Man Cave Magic #1, the salt, pepper, garlic blend. And I put them on this little, this is some sort of, it's almost a quarter sheet pan, but it's got a rack in it. And I like to use it when I'm doing stuff like this. Got them seasoned up. I was running the Camp Chef at 425, and I had some hickory chunks. So put them in there and let them do their thing. I borrowed a recipe idea from Chef Eric Gephardt over at Kamado Joe. Chef published a video a couple weeks back called Hot Yaki Wings, and the sauce that he used sounded just too delicious, and I couldn't wait to try it. So that's what I did today. Uh, this is teriyaki sauce and sweet chili sauce, sweet Thai chili sauce with a little bit of hoisin in it, and the you use some of the juice, some of the brine from pickled ginger. So it's just all that's in there is those four ingredients, and it made a sauce that the soy sauce or the teriyaki that I use had sesame seeds in it, so that's kind of a bonus. But you get a really nice consistency sauce here. So when these wings were about ready, I put this sauce together, and this is when the wings are about ready. They're not quite done at this point. I left them in there a bit longer. Here they're done, and I don't know how well you can see the skin texture I have there, but I've got a pretty good skin texture. And Jeff, on these, I did not do the flour that I normally do. I normally oil those things and then I toss them in seasoned flour. I didn't do that with these. I just left the flour out. But then I tossed those wings in the mixing bowl with that sauce and just tossed them. And I took them back out, put them back on my pan, and put them back in the 425-degree woodwind for about 10 minutes to let that sauce tack up. And here we're going to see that. That sauce tacked up beautifully and right at 10 minutes. It's all it took. They just did really well. And here's what they look like right as they come off. And I put them on another pan, and I tried to stack them like Chef Eric did, but my stack's not nearly as pretty as his. And then I drizzled a little bit of the sauce that I had left over the top of these guys. And this is what I had for lunch today. I had some chicken wings for lunch. And that sauce is off the hook. If you want the exact recipe that Chef Eric used for that, go to the Kamado Joe YouTube channel and look back 4 or 5 videos for the hot yaki chicken wings, and the recipe for that and the quantities that he used are in the video description. This sauce was so good, I'm thinking about making a batch of it that I can have, because I could see a lot of applications for this sauce. I would like to use this in some stir fry, and I would also like to use it on shredded chicken for maybe like a a pulled chicken sandwich or something. This sauce is crazy. It's not like anything I've ever tasted.
Korean ribs would be good with it too.
Yeah, it might be. This might be good with ribs in general, come to think of it. You remember the ribs I did where I boiled the ribs, Jeff?
Well, I try not to think about those.
Well, you gotta give that method a try sometime. This would have been a great finishing sauce for those too. The sweet content in here does real well when you apply direct heat to it. It caramelizes, and it's going to make some nice char and some nice flavor. So anyway, that's what I did this week, and I've had a good time. Tomorrow's laundry day, so I don't think I'm going to cook tomorrow. I might find something to do before I go back to my real job over the weekend. But that
Janice is my hero.
Oh boy. Hey Janice, how are you? Janice, I'm gonna talk Janice into buying that mill scale we looked at. Janice wants one of those open fire box cookers where you've got a wood fire going on one side of it, and you shovel the coals out from underneath that wood fire to place strategically under your cooking space. And Janice is looking at one of these. She's looking at it. We need to get her talked into buying that mill scale. So, heck yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of my cooking. What do you got going on next week, Jeff?
What do I have going on next week? I'm going to be gone the biggest part of the week. I'm going to be up in Tennessee.
Okay,
So,
where in Tennessee you going?
Bethpage, it's northeast of Nashville.
Are you going up to see Steven?
No. I got some friends up there we're going to go see.
Yeah. Well, you should
Steven never invites me to his place.
You should go by and knock on Steven's door when you're burning through Nashville.
We don't go through Nashville to get there.
Just look for the house that doesn't have any power. I think Steven's power's been out for the last 6 weeks.
Oh man, I tell you what, he's had a mess of power outage. He's talking about getting a whole home generator now.
Yeah.
Because he just about lost a bunch of stuff in the freezer.
Yeah, I know I would do that too. Tanya and I have talked about the possibility of getting a generator, and I think the main reason I'd like to have one is because my mom would need it more often than I would. We're blessed where we live because post office is across the street this way. City Hall is diagonally across the street. 1 block over is the fire department and the police station. When my power
and you're on the
goes
same
out,
circuit as
I'm
all
on
of
the
us.
same line as those places, and if power goes out here, it comes back quickly. During the whole time I've been here, I don't think our power's ever been out longer than an hour, and it's probably been out less than times I can count on one hand the whole time I've been here. So
I got a generator. Haven't had to use it yet. I've got one just big enough to run the 2 refrigerators in the freezer. That's all.
That's all I would want. And they got some inexpensive generators at Harbor Freight that you could run that with, because refrigerators and freezers don't draw much power. No. It doesn't take a lot to run those guys.
The only time it draws the power is on startup.
Yeah. So that would definitely be something I keep telling myself I'm going to look at it, but then every time I look at generators, I decide I'd rather have the quiet one, when the quiet ones are a lot more money.
Yeah, I've got the Honda, the one with the inverter in it, so you get clean power.
Right.
And it's the 2800, and I think I paid almost $1,000 for it, but it's quiet.
Right.
Starts on the first pull. Life is good.
Yep. Some of the ones I've looked at have electric starters on them. So I don't know what I'm going to cook next week yet. I want to keep pushing this Camp Chef because, I keep telling myself if I keep trying, I'll find something I don't like about it, and I haven't yet. I haven't found anything I don't like about it. I don't think. What have I complained about it yet, Jeff?
No. You seem like you're pretty happy with it. So if you're happy, I'm happy. I'm happy for you.
And so far, I'm pretty happy with the decision to buy the 24 rather than the 36. You know how I am there too. I like my Kamado Joe Classics much better than I like the Big Joes. I like the smaller systems. I'd rather push a smaller grill than have to fire up the big one every time I want to cook. One thing I did notice, and this is not a problem, this is just a comparison with the Bark. The Camp Chef is more fuel hungry than the Bark is. The Camp Chef is not double insulated. The cooking chamber is not double wall insulated like the Mixon is. And the Mixon is a much larger cooking chamber than the Bark, but it uses less fuel to run. It's visibly less.
It sips pellets. That's what I love about that Bark. It sips the pellets.
This one uses a little bit more. And
but
then again, I don't mind that. It's got some
features that I like on it. I mean, that smoker box, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm loving
the Sidekick.
Okay, here's something. Here's something I've determined. The smoker box does not work until you set it for about 250 degrees. If you want to run it at 200 or 225, it's not generating enough of a fire in the fire pot to smoke what you've got in the smoker box. Or I haven't been able to get it to. I've tried it. So when you're going to use the smoker box, you need to run it at 250 or better. And one of the great things about the smoker box is how, Jeff, when you run pellet grills hot, you get a lower smoke profile the hotter you run it,
Right.
because it's burning so feverishly down in that fire pot. That's when the smoker box comes in really handy, because like these wings, you know, I could put, I could get smoke in the, I could get visible ignition on smoke chunks, or I could smolder it if I wanted to in that smoke box while I'm running that hot and still get smoke at those high temperatures. That's something that's really hard to do. Right. Damon says the lid. That's true. The lid does have a. It's double walled. I don't know what kind. I don't know if there's insulation in there. There's a panel on the inside of the front lid that's probably. I don't know why it's there. Actually, it may be to help with the finish, to keep it from getting too hot. And the back side, there's a double wall there because of the way the exhaust works. It's got the low exhaust where it goes down low and comes up and exits through there. So, okay, if you add some charcoal briquettes in the firebox and put a wood chunk, Damon, do you have to light those briquettes first, or will they ignite from the fire that's going on in the fire pot? That was the part I had. I put some wood chunks in there and opened the flue fully, and I could not even get the wood chunks to smolder. So I'm guessing I might have to light the briquettes. Would I have to light the briquettes outside and then put them in the firebox with that wood chunk to do that? Just curious. That's something I haven't tried. So, see, guys, he knows. we're gonna get Damon. Hopefully, Damon will come on with us, and we'll have a pellet grill conversation with Damon, because he's probably forgot more about pellet grills than I've ever known. So, he says they'll ignite from the fire in the pot. Okay, I'll give that a try. The charcoal might be easier to ignite than the wood chunk. So, all right. Get it to light at 225. So we'll give that a shot. Excellent. Thank you for that. See, I should have just asked him to begin with. I wasn't really asking. That's not a question I've asked yet. It's just an observation that I've had based on the things I've tested. I tried it at 200 degrees. I couldn't get it to ignite. I bumped it to 225 and couldn't get them to ignite. But when I go to 250, there's no problem at 250. And 250 and 275 seem to be like a sweet spot for operating that wood chunk box, that smoker box. It's producing a ton of smoke. Well, Fran, you should try it sometime. I've cooked with briquettes in the Kamado. It's not an optimal configuration because of how much ash they produce, but I've done briquettes. I definitely have. I've cooked with briquettes. Takes 10 to 15 minutes after startup to ignite the charcoal. Okay. Sounds good. Damon, I will give that a try. I've got plenty of briquettes around here. I use briquettes in several other grills that I've got, so I keep them on hand. All right. What else have we got? Jeff, have I missed any questions?
Nope, I've been watching that.
Honorog's got a question up there. Why don't you try some low temp smoking like salmon or cheese? I've done that before. I haven't done it on the I don't know if he's talking about doing it on the Camp Chef. Honorog, one of the features that this Camp Chef has that I love is I can turn that thing on and run just the fan. I can turn the fan on with no fire. And then with that thing running, I can put one of my pellet tubes down in the bottom of the grill and let the fan just circulate the smoke from those pellet tubes. So I can cold smoke. And I actually did test this the other day. I didn't test it very well because it was actually pretty warm outside the day I tried it. But my temperature inside the grill didn't go up 20 degrees above the ambient outdoor temperature, which is pretty good if it's cooler out. But for salmon, that would be fine. When it comes to cold smoking cheese, for me, I do not want to mess with cold smoking cheese unless I can keep my smoke chamber at 65 degrees or less, because at 70 degrees and up, I start to see the cheese sweat, and I don't like the results I get when the cheese is sweating. I would rather cold smoke cheese when it's colder outside. And just as I was saying, winter has skipped us by this year. I don't know if I'm going to get any cheese cold smoke, any additional cheese cold smoke. I smoked some back in December that I've still got, but
yeah, I think on my last set I did on the mixing with the
yeah.
tube, and I got just a very slight amount of sweat on it. I kind of squeaked by, but it's too hot now to even begin to try it. And that was even putting the ice cans in there.
I'll do some smoked salmon. The reason I can't do that, I can cure some salmon and do a cold smoke on it.
I've done that some alder pellets out, John.
Well, I've done it. I've done what I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call it cold smoked salmon, but I've done smoked salmon on the Kamado Joe at lower than typical temperatures. And there's a video out there somewhere. I think that video exists on the Kamado Joe channel. If you go look for smoked salmon on the Kamado Joe channel, I know I've done it at least twice over there. And one of them was a hotter one, and one of them was a not so hot one. So, yeah. The firebox adds 30 or 40 degrees to the chamber. Yeah. Damon, have you experimented with the pellet smoker tubes instead of using the firebox? The firebox would be fine for doing everything but cheese. I don't have any problem. I don't think there would be any issues with smoking fish, even if the temperature went up to 120 or 130 degrees. I don't think that's too hot for smoking salmon, but it's too hot for cheese. But the pellet tubes, I wasn't seeing a big temperature increase with the pellet tubes, and I was getting the easy smoker, or what do they call it? I can't remember what the brand name of those pellet tubes is that I have, but they the 12-inch one will burn for 4 or 5 hours, and the 6-inch one burns about half that. Jason, you're late. Damon says the food had a bitter taste. Okay, well, it is smoldering smoke. But then again, it's going to be smoldering smoke from the firebox as well. So I don't know. We'll have to try and see. It's one of those situations where it's going to have to be smoke in moderation, and it's going to be a trial and error to find out where the sweet spot is for that. So, yeah. Jason Taylor's back with you guys. Jason's the guy that we had last week, and we talked about that Sonic rocket, and he did some cooking on that, and he's posted some content. He did some ribs and stuff on it, so you'll have to check that out. Where are we here? Okay. The key is not to overbrine the fish, he says. Yeah, too much salt's never a good thing. I typically dry brine salmon, and I'll figure out. It's one of these situations where you can figure out. You have to get your calculator out, and you need a kitchen scale. You need to know how much that salmon weighs, and then you need your salt content to be about 2.5% of the weight of the fish. So if you've got 1,000 grams of fish, you'd want 25 grams of salt, and then you'll be right on the money. But then again, those brines have typically there's going to be some sugar there, but the sugar's not going to dissolve and work its way into the meat. It's just going to be on the surface. The salt molecule is small enough that osmosis will carry it inside the meat. And some people will also work in a small amount of the pink curing salt in that process as well, which is optional, but it does help with the longevity. But then again, we got vacuum sealers and we got freezers, so longevity is not going to be much of an issue for us. Jason, hey, Jeff, Jason's looking at that VAC 100. Jason is he's thinking hard about it. He's trying to con his wife into it. So he just needs to take his wife out to the Michael Kors outlet or the get her a Prada bag or something, and then go ahead and order that VAC 100. Oh boy.
Well, Jason, if she's listening, then here, your life
Yeah,
will not
Jason,
be the
I
same
can sell
after
that
you
thing
get.
to your wife. I can tell her all the benefits of having a chamber sealer. Who's
The
talking
money you're
about
going to save.
Mike's talking about my EC18 back there. Mike, the one right next to it's the real bottle. That old Fitzgerald right up there. Yeah, that Elijah Craig 18 is something else. I happened to cross that not too long ago. Mike, I don't even have the UDS anymore. I unloaded that because it's a space hog and I don't use it that often. So yeah, I'm not cooking on the drum smoker anymore at all. I have decided that there may come a day where I bring another Weber Smoky Mountain here. And if I do, it'll be the 18-inch one and not the 22-inch one because that's what I started on. I learned to smoke meats on the Weber Smoky Mountain, and I regret to this day letting that grill go, letting that smoker go because that thing is a beast. And it's hard to mess up when you're cooking on one of those. It's designed to not let you mess up. So I don't know. The ugly drum smoker, it's fun to cook on, but it's another one of those situations where it's like the Big Joe for me. It's way more than I need. Uh, if I had an ugly drum smoker made out of a 30-gallon drum rather than a 55, it would be the 18-inch diameter. It would work better for me. There's actually a 14-inch Weber Smoky Mountain out there, Jeff. That's a perfect butt cooker. It's like it's a 14-inch diameter, 2 cooking level water pan vertical bullet smoker. Yep. So.
Well, I started cooking on a hibachi.
On a hibachi, I had one of those Lodge cast iron hibachis when I was in the Boy Scouts. Back when they only cost like $25 or $30 to buy one of them.
Yeah.
These things are nearly $200 now.
And they did good.
Yeah. Yep. I had one of those. So, alrighty. Well, we're done. So I'm tired too, man. I had to mow the grass this week. I've never had to mow the grass the first week of March before. Usually I'm not mowing the grass till the first or second week of April, but I've already had to cut the grass. That's how early springs come. And I don't know if you saw the picture. We had a picture back here in my in the cooking where you can look at that. You see that stripe on the front of my grill right there?
From the pollen?
That's pollen on my smoker. So
well, John, I washed the car. 15 minutes later, it's green, and I got a green car, so it really stands out bad.
But yeah, that's pollen. The pollen's settling in out there, and Tanya hasn't joined us yet. I don't think she's going to join us tonight. I don't know what the outcome of her basketball game was, but I haven't heard her jumping up and down. So
she may be sulking.
Carolina might have won. They were playing Virginia, which was going to be a tough game. So I don't know what happened. But Carolina needed to win that game to have any chance of going to the NCAA this year. And she may be mad. She may have gone to bed. I'll find out when I go upstairs.
Well, Janice, you're lucky if you mowed in February and then last week too. I haven't hit the third week without having to mow.
Yep. Oh, Anthony said Carolina didn't win. So Tanya's not going to be happy. That's what
wants to go
Tanya will do.
downstairs a little while longer.
Tanya's one of the biggest Tar Heel fans you'll ever meet. She's a huge Tar Heel fan, and it's basketball mainly. She's been a fan of Tar Heels basketball since she was a child. So she's been through the good times and the bad times many times with that team. So
anybody who's rooted for a team for over 20 years, you go through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, I used to be. Well, I won't say I used to be. I'm a North Carolina State Wolfpack fan, and we haven't had good times in many years now. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why they can't get things straightened out at NC State, but it's just not happening. But I like all the North Carolina ACC schools, and that's hard because most people can't be a Duke and a Carolina fan at the same time. So, all righty.
Go Noles.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back next week, and I'll talk to Damon. Maybe we can talk Damon into coming on with us sometime soon and talk about Camp Chef. I probably need to get a little more experience under my belt with the Camp Chef because I like to. Damon probably has been doing this with Camp Chef long enough that he's been through the development cycle of this Woodwind Pro. When the original Woodwind came out, it caught my attention because it had a feature. It had a feature on the original Woodwind that I loved that I hadn't seen on any other pellet grill before. If you remember when I showed you the Woodwind 24 pictures, that handle that you can pull that slides the plate out that lets the ash that's in the fire pot fall out into the cup underneath and do that. That was cool. That means I don't have to disassemble my grill every cook to clean ash out. But you just pull that handle and push it back in every cook and then dump the cup. But then every couple of cooks, you still need to take your pellet grill internals out and vacuum the ash out of the cooking chamber. That's something you don't want to get lazy with. And I'm wondering if the Camp Chef community gets lazy on vacuuming out the inside of their grill. Because Jeff, I still, on the bark, I do it every cook. I do it before I cook every time. I pull the internals out. I vacuum out the fire pot, vacuum out the base of the grill. And that's what I've done on all of my pellet grills up to this point. And that is probably why I have never had any kind of failure with any of the pellet grills I've had. Is because I do that maintenance. The Traeger Little Texas Elite, I never had a problem with it. That grill's still running at my brother-in-law's house. The Yoder YS640, I didn't have any of those problems with it. I had other problems with the YS640. That's why I don't still have it.
So I do it every second cook.
I did that same maintenance. I did it on the Traeger. I vacuumed out the fire pot and the internals on the Traeger before each cook.
If I do an overnight cook, then I'll do it. But if it's just a couple hour cook, it's every other cook.
After the Traeger, I got the Kamado Joe, which I still have. The Kamado Joe has a uniquely designed fire pot. Its fire pot's a little different from everybody else's. It needs to be dealt with between each. You might could get away with it, but I haven't. I vacuum it out after each cook. That A-Smoke disaster. The A-Smoke 700P that came and went here quickly. That grill, I didn't like it, but you have to do the same maintenance on it. I do it on the bark, and now I'm doing it here, but I'm not taking the internals out of the grill. But I'm probably gonna go 3 cooks before vacuuming out the. I guess it depends on what kind of cook it is. If it's a long overnight cook, I might go ahead and do it, because when I did that pork butt, or those 2 pork butts overnight, I got a pretty good ash buildup in the base and the inside of it. So I went ahead and vacuumed it out. I'll look just to see. And 10 to 12 regular cooks. Okay. Yeah. The ash cup, I definitely dump it every cook. I don't know how many ash dumps you could get in that cup before you fill it up, but from what I've seen, when I pull that handle and close it and take that ash out, it looks like I possibly could get 4 or 5 cooks into that ash cup before dumping it, but I don't want to take a chance on that. I dump it after every one. If I pull the handle, take the cup off, and dump it. So, Jeff, are you having a problem? Your mic's off.
Not me. Somebody else in the house is.
Oh boy.
Drop the sheet pan.
Right. Drop the sheet pan. I hope it wasn't full of food.
No, it was in the dish drainer.
All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good week. We'll see you next Thursday. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to cook next week. I want to do something else. I might do something where I can take advantage of the flat top. Okay, Jeff, I'm going to go to Sam's Club and I'm going to get a smaller sirloin tip. We're going to cook the sirloin tip. We're going to smoke the sirloin tip, and then I'm going to use some of that, and I'm going to make a cheesesteak on the griddle on this thing. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
That'll be a pretty good thing. That way, I haven't used the griddle yet. I've given it some additional seasoning, but I haven't cooked on the griddle yet. But a cheesesteak, that'd be a good thing. What else can I do on that griddle? I can do smash burgers on the griddle, but
yep.
Tanya likes smash burgers, so yeah. I haven't fully realized what I'm going to be able to do with this system, but I'm really happy with the possibilities. I'm really stoked about what I can do with that setup. So we'll be seeing more of that. All right, guys, y'all have a good week, and we'll see you next Thursday.